You keep saying you'll start tomorrow, and tomorrow shows up wearing yesterday's clothes. You say it again like it just occurred to you, but it didn't just occur to you. It's the same sentence you reach for every day, the same little escape hatch, and it works so well you don't even notice you're using it. It's not a plan. A plan has a next move attached to it. Tomorrow doesn't have a next move. It just has another tomorrow standing behind it, and another one behind that. All the way back into a life you keep saying you're about to start living. And I'm not saying this looking down at you, because I do this constantly. I've got things I've been starting tomorrow for so long, the tomorrow basically fossilized. I know what it feels like from the inside, because I live there half the time. You tell yourself it's not avoidance, it's timing. You're not scared, you're just not ready yet. You're not stalling, you're just waiting for the right moment. Like the right moment is a bus pulling up to open its doors for you. I say all of that to myself too, and some part of me always knows it's not true. I just keep talking, so I don't have to sit in that. Think about how this actually plays out, because it's never dramatic, it's small. Say it's Monday and you tell yourself tomorrow you're up at 6, clean start. Tuesday you're up at 6:40 because you hit snooze twice, and 6:40 doesn't feel like enough time, so you say Wednesday. Wednesday something at work runs long, you get home wrecked, and you say Thursday. For real this time. Thursday you're fine, you've got the time, but you just don't feel like it. And that one's harder to say out loud, so you don't even say it. You just quietly don't. And tell yourself the weekend's better anyway. Saturday comes and it's a whole production. You need groceries, you need rest, you need to see people. And Monday's right there again, clean, symbolic, a real start line. So you wait for Monday. That's a full week gone and you never once decided not to do it. You just never once did it either. And none of those days felt like failure while you were in them. Every single one felt reasonable. That's the part that gets me. If delaying felt bad, you'd stop doing it. But it doesn't feel bad. It feels responsible. It feels like you're being smart, reading the room, waiting for a better window instead of forcing a bad one. So you keep doing the one thing that costs you nothing today. And you never total up what it's costing you across every day stacked behind it. Because the days do stack. That's the mechanism nobody names. Tomorrow isn't a delay, it's a subscription. You're not putting it off once, you're signing up to put it off again automatically. Because the version of you making tomorrow's promise is the same version standing there tomorrow. Same mood, same excuses loaded and ready. Nothing about the situation changes overnight. So why would the decision change overnight either? So here's the question, and don't skip past it looking for the tidy answer underneath. Why tomorrow specifically? Not why haven't you started? Why that day and not this one? Why not tonight? Why not right now, in whatever 10 minutes you've got before the next normal thing? What does today have that disqualifies it? Because if you actually look, today was never missing anything. Today's just a regular day you decided in advance doesn't count. So why do you keep handing the job to the one day that isn't real yet, and calling that your start date, like it's a place you'll arrive at eventually, instead of just today wearing a different name? And here's the part underneath that you already know and keep talking over. It's not that you're too tired or too busy or waiting on some sign. It's that starting today makes it real, and tomorrow lets you keep it as an idea. An idea doesn't fail. An idea is still the clean version of you, the one who definitely would have done it right, the one who's basically already succeeded in your head, because nothing's happened yet. But the second you actually start, all of that gets tested. You might be bad at it right away. You might quit in a few days and have to know that about yourself. You might find out you don't even want the thing that much. Tomorrow protects you from every one of those outcomes, because tomorrow is the one place nothing bad has happened yet. That's the entire appeal, and it's strong enough to run your whole life on if you let it. So it's not really procrastination, not the way people joke about it. Procrastination sounds lazy, like you're just lying around. But this is more careful than that. This is you managing a risk. Every day you push it to tomorrow. You're choosing the version of yourself that hasn't been tested over the version that has to actually show up and be looked at. And I get why. Being untested feels safer. It feels like you're still holding every possibility open, still undefeated. But you're not holding possibilities open. You're just refusing to close one door so you don't find out what's behind it. I do the same math. I tell myself I'm being careful, being smart, waiting for a cleaner start, when really I'm protecting an idea of myself that can't survive an actual Tuesday. And so are you, if you're honest. I think you know that, because you wouldn't still be watching this if some part of you didn't already suspect it. Here's what it's actually costing you, and I want the plain version, not the dramatic one. It's not costing you some big collapse. It's costing you a savings account of ordinary days that never got spent on anything. Picture a guy who tells himself he'll start saving $20 a week the first Monday of next month. Next month comes, rent's higher than he thought, so he tells himself the month after. 6 months later, he hasn't lost the $20. He's lost 6 months of $20 becoming something, sitting there doing nothing, because start kept getting handed to a day that hadn't arrived yet. That's not a disaster. Nobody notices a disaster like that from outside. It just looks like a normal life, a guy getting by. But on the inside, he knows there's a version of this year where he's got something built. Instead, he's got the same zero he had in January, just older. That's what tomorrow actually costs, not failure. Just zero, repeated, dressed up as patience. And it compounds in a way you don't feel day to day, which is exactly why it works on you. One skip day feels like nothing, because it is nothing by itself. But you're not skipping one day, you're rehearsing the skip. You're building the muscle of postponing until postponing is the strongest muscle you've got. So it's not just that the workout didn't happen, or the business didn't start, or the call didn't get made. It's that you're getting really good at almost. And almost doesn't show up anywhere in your actual life. It doesn't show up on a scale. It doesn't show up in a bank account. It doesn't show up in a relationship where you kept meaning to say the real thing and kept saying it tomorrow until the person stopped waiting for tomorrow to come. That's the quiet cost. You're not failing loudly. You're just accumulating a life made of almost, and almost doesn't count for anything when someone actually needs the thing, including you. Here's the part nobody says to your face. And I mean nobody, because it's not a nice thing to hear. The reason you keep doing this isn't that you don't care. It's that you do care, and caring is exactly what makes tomorrow so useful. If you didn't care, you wouldn't need the excuse. You'd just not do it and feel nothing about it. The fact that you keep promising yourself tomorrow means some part of you actually wants the thing, wants it enough to keep making appointments with it. And that wanting is precisely what you're protecting when you don't start. You already suspect that if you actually tried today, right now, no more setup, you might find out you're not as capable as you hoped, or the thing takes longer than you want, or you're not even sure you want it once it's in front of you instead of in your head. So you keep the wanting alive by never testing it. That's not weakness exactly. That's a strange self-protection that ends up costing you the exact thing it's trying to protect. So here's the turn. And it's not clever. There's no trick buried in it. The only thing that breaks this is doing some real piece of it today. Before tomorrow gets a vote in the matter. Not the whole plan. Not the version where everything's arranged and you feel ready. Just one honest move. Small enough you can't talk yourself out of it. Done in the next 10 minutes. While today still has a chance to be the day. You don't need 6 a.m. You don't need Monday. You don't need the clean version where conditions are perfect. Because conditions are never going to be perfect. That's not a phase you're waiting through. That's just what days are like. Ready is a feeling. Feelings don't start anything. Decisions do. And a decision doesn't need good conditions. It just needs you to make it once, today, in a way you can point to later and say that happened. Do the smallest true version of the thing. Send the message instead of drafting it again. Put the shoes on and walk to the end of the street instead of planning the whole route. Open the document and write one bad sentence instead of waiting to write a good one. It doesn't matter that it's small, it matters that it's real, because it's very hard to say, I'll start tomorrow, about something you already started an hour ago. That sentence needs an untouched day to live in. And the second you touch today, it's got nowhere left to stand. That's the whole mechanism, working the other direction for once. And it costs you nothing to test it, except the 10 minutes you were going to spend somewhere else anyway. You're going to want to wait for a better version of today before you try this. I get it, I want that too most days. But there isn't a better one coming. This is the one you've got, and it's already spending itself while you're deciding whether it's the right one to start on.